Wilmington. I'm Reverend Nikki Golden. This is Paul Teal. He'll be our vocalist today. We are so excited to be with you in whatever moment that we are with you. We're excited because we have a message that when we learn how to apply it, when we learn how to live it, our lives change. And that's what's exciting to me, is seeing people learn how to live in joy, learn how to live beautifully, learn how to wake up each morning and be delighted to be awake and savor the day as they reflect back on it. I want to remind you of 3 things. You are a beloved expression of God. You're here for a holy purpose. And I believe that purpose is to love. And you were always in the right place at the right time right now.
Supposed to be this way. Look in the mirror, but you find someone you never thought you'd be. Oh, but I can still recognize the one I love in those tear-stained eyes. I know you might not see it now, so lift your eyes to me. When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing too far gone. I see one step away from home. When you see nothing but damaged goods, I see something good in the making. I'm not finished yet. You see wounded, I see mended. Mistake, but I see the price I paid, and there's nothing you could ever do to lose what grace has won. Oh, but I can still recognize the one I love in those tear-stained eyes. I know you might not see it now, so lift your eyes to me when you see. Broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. When you see too far gone, I see one step away from home. When you see nothing but damaged goods, I see something good in the making. I'm not finished yet. Oh, you see wounded, I see mended. I see my child, my beloved, the new creation you're becoming. You see the scars from when you fell, but I see the stories they can't tell. You see worthless, but I see priceless. You see pain, but I see a purpose. You see unworthy, undeserving, but I see you through eyes of mercy. When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. You're not too far gone. You're one step away from home. When you see nothing but damaged goods, I see something good in the making. I'm not finished yet. No, you see wounded, I see mended. Oh, I see mended. Oh, I see mended. I'm not finished yet. When you see wounded, I see mended.
It's all a matter of perspective, isn't it? Some people see wounded, some people see mended, some people see imperfect, other people see perfect. Some people need some upgrades, and other people said, what's wrong with this? So Unity of Wilmington has been going through or undergoing some upgrades to this big room where we give our Sunday lessons called the Sanctuary. We've got new paint. We have the new light fixtures. They came in this week. We're doing all kinds of upgrades to this room. And in the process of those upgrades and in preparing for the new carpet, which is coming in this week, we've moved furniture in and furniture out, and furniture in and furniture out. And one of the things we've moved is the ministerial library. Now, you may or may not be wondering, what is the ministerial library doing in that big room where we have our Sunday lessons? And I will tell you that there's a little room called the prayer room that's adjacent to the sanctuary where the ministerial library was temporarily housed. You see, where Reverend Nikki and I work in our office, it's sort of like Jeannie's lamp. Big cosmic energy, itty-bitty space. So when it became clear to us that with COVID, that the building was going to be closed to the public for a while, we said, wow, one of the ways we could create space in our office is to move the ministerial library over to this side of the building. Well, with the new carpet coming, the new paint, la, 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 I personally packed every one of those books in a box. And I will say, when it came to all hands on deck, that our music director Katie Deese moved every one of those boxes to the other side of the building. But in that process, I put my hands on this little gem. It's a contemporized version of the teachings and the philosophy of Phineas Parkhurst Quimby called Mingling Minds. Now, I was captivated by the title alone, Mingling Minds. That just sounds so esoteric and so spiritual. And what does that really mean? What does that really mean? And I was also fascinated by Quimby because he's a part of our Unity lineage. His work is a part of how Unity came into being as a philosophy. We're part of the New Thought movement, and the New Thought movement is really a confluence of Christian mysticism, of metaphysics, and the mind cure movement. Christian mysticism is all about our oneness with God. Metaphysics is the science of knowing. And mind cure is a movement that was started and continued and developed and came through an evolution because of individuals like Quimby. So I was like, hey, what can I learn about unity? What can I learn about articulating what we really believe by this little teeny tiny book? And it was amazing to me, and even in some ways quite shocking. It's really a journey, a story of discovery, how Quimby started out as a mesmerist, and then he became his own medium, and eventually developed a reliable, systematic method for healing that invited people who were diseased, who had negative or error thinking in their belief system, to come into a higher consciousness. And in that higher consciousness, shed those mistaken beliefs and come into a whole new way of being. So it's really about his healing journey, but he says some very shocking things in the book. At least they were shocking to me, because I didn't know that anybody was audacious enough to put those ideas in print. So I just want to start from the beginning by saying he really takes the opportunity to notice that we live in two worlds. And that's a teaching of Jesus. We live in two worlds. We live in the material or the external environment, and we live in the world of the immaterial, that formless creative energy of spirit. Now, it's really important to recognize that we live in both worlds and not one or not just the other. And it's up to us to be conscious of how we support the expansion of our consciousness. Now, that's a unity term, expansion of consciousness, in terms of how mindful we are about where we attach our attention or source our thinking, source our beliefs. Because when we source our beliefs from the material world, we're actually in what Quimby calls a psychic sea of mingling minds that are more attached to what other people believe. He says in this material world, it's like the average mind. It's a collective consciousness. It's something where we don't ever tune into spirit. We don't ever tune into that higher consciousness, and we begin to feed our belief systems off of each other. Now, if you think about gossip, or just a conversation, maybe you don't want to call it gossip, but it's pretty much gossip. If you get together with somebody and they go, oh, did you hear about John? And then you go, oh, yeah, I heard about John. And then, did you know what Mary did? Yeah, I heard about what Mary did. No, she didn't do that. And then pretty soon you have all these opinions about these people who aren't even in the room, who don't even have the opportunity to state what their belief is, and things get spun up, and then we begin to suffer. People begin to suffer when they only attach their source of thinking and their source of beliefs to the material world. Now, there are good things in the material world. There's some willy-nilly things in the material world, but there's also some, what we call in our judgment, bad things in the material world. And people begin to suffer. And the root of all the illness and the dis-ease and the misinformation, the false beliefs, the superstitions, they all come from that psychic sea that we call the collective consciousness or the material world. Quimby says this: we are trainable, teachable, and suggestible, capable of being influenced by errant and wandering ideas. Because we are capable of being influenced by other minds, we can be destroyed by other minds, wittingly or unwittingly. Jesus taught this more than 2,000 years ago. Quimby wrote about it in the 19th century. And in today's time, in today's age, we don't have to look far to understand the phenomenon of herd mentality. Ay, Chihuahua. I say I Chihuahua because I want to take the shock out of it, but it's like, it's true. It's true. We don't have to look far in our modern time to see the impact that herd mentality can have when we only source our conscious thoughts from the material world. So let's talk about something else that's marvelous about our mind. Our mind is always changing. Seriously, you know, for as much as humanity has a hard time with change as a whole, our mind is always changing. So my mind changed as I prepared for this Sunday lesson. As I constructed this talk, my mind changed with every tick of the clock. It changed with every stroke of the keyboard on my computer. And your mind is changing. Your mind is changing as you listen to it. Your mind is changing as you watch it. The mind that we have in the present moment is not the same mind that we had in the past, not even an hour ago. Our mind is always changing. So we're back to expanding consciousness. And the real question, the important question, the most powerful question you can ask yourself is, am I sourcing my thinking? Am I mingling my mind with the material world? Or am I choosing to mingle my mind with higher consciousness, with that better feeling thought, with that more creative energy, with that part of the universe that brings us more satisfaction, more love, more joy, more peace. What are we sourcing our consciousness from? I wonder. Quimby says this: poor, fearful humans who see a demon in every shadow, a disease in every sneeze, and destruction in every change. He wrote this in the 1850s. How can they know that they are themselves the cause of all that happens to them until they note the effect of their own thought? All thought is creative, for it gives direction to the mind, whether it come from illusion, which is material consciousness, or from insight. So again, I come back to that powerful question: where are we sourcing our expansion of consciousness? And do we recognize that we're the ones who are in charge of that choice? In the book of Isaiah, God speaks all the time. It's like, and the Lord said, and the Lord said, and the Lord said. And here's something that the Lord said in the 45th chapter, 11th verse of Isaiah. Ask me of things to come. God says, ask me of things to come. Concerning the works of my hands, command ye me. Think about that for a moment, especially that command ye me part. Think on it deeply, because it's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing when we recognize that it isn't that God is directing humanity on how to be or how to think or what kind of action to engage in. It's humanity that is directing the creative principle, the creative causative energy of God to be, to think, and to do. So traditional religion teaches us that we are servants to God, and we will be happy when we serve God. But in reality, it's the other way around. God is serving us. God is doing everything and anything we ask him to do. Him, it, principle. We are the ones who are directive. We are the ones who say, I want life to be a certain way. I want to think certain thoughts, and I want to engage in certain actions. It is humanity. It is you. It is me. It is us as individuals and us as collective. This is mind-blowing. Command ye me. God is saying, I will do whatever you want me to do, willy-nilly, good or bad. And I think we have gotten pretty good at bad. I think we've gotten pretty good at bad. So it's time to wake up and recognize that we have the power within us to mingle our minds with a higher consciousness, with a better way of being, putting to death that old way and giving birth, having that arising idea of new knowledge, new skills. You know, every time we tune into the divine, tune into ourselves, come into contact with higher self, or even recognize that our five senses are working for our good, new information comes in through our eyes, through our ears, with our taste, with our sense of smell, with our touch. New intelligence is always flowing into our mind, and that's actually why our mind is changing all the time. Is because we have this continual flow of new information. And I believe that this is our salvation. This is our salvation as an individual. It's our salvation as a humankind. Where do we want to mingle our minds with? A whole nother metaphor comes from the book of Luke in Christian scriptures. And it's when Jesus is giving his Sermon on the Plain. It's equivalent to the Sermon on the Mount in the book of Matthew, and a lot of times people say, don't hide your light under a bushel. That's what comes out of the Sermon on the Mount in the book of Matthew. But in the Sermon on the Plain in the book of Luke, he says, don't put it in a place where it can be hidden. Don't put your light in a place where it can be hidden. Don't put it under a bowl. If you're reading the Message, it says, don't put it in a drawer. Don't light your lamp and put it in a drawer. That's like, who would do that? But we do that. We do that all the time. Put it on a stand. Put it on a stand so that it can light the entire space around you, so that other people can see that your light is a beacon of truth to the world. Jesus goes on to say, your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body is also full of light. But when they are unhealthy, your body is also full of darkness. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. I'm reminded of a quote from Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou says, do your best, and when you know better, do better. So find your light. Find your light and shine your light. And when you mingle your mind with more light, you will do better, because you have to. Your light is brighter. You can't help but evolve. I heard somebody say not long ago that they wanted to be on a path of evolution. And I think spiritual evolution, boy, that's the new frontier. Quimby says, in order to evolve, you have to involve. And Unity teaches that. You know, in order to go out, you have to come in. And where is your light? Your light is within. Where is the mind that you want to mingle with? That light is within. And then we put to death the darkness. We put to death our ignorance. It's like, oh yeah, I got caught up in that mess. But I have put to death those ignorant beliefs. I have put to death those ignorant thoughts. Isn't it a marvelous gift that we change our mind all the time? Otherwise, we'd be stagnant, yuck, like the Dead Sea. So I'm just wanting to share some examples of what it's like. Quimby tells the story of a man who wanted to become a navigator on a steamship. He knew nothing of science. So the man went out and he found himself somebody to teach him. So first he became an apprentice, and then he became proficient, and eventually he became a master navigator on a steamship. And what he did was he put to death his darkness, the I don't know part of his being, and he amplified his light of the new knowledge and the new skill. Here at Wilmington, we call that a miracle. Unity of Wilmington, we call it a miracle. I had told you over a month ago that I was ready to buy a new car, and I'd done extensive research, and I thought a lot about it, but I hadn't taken any action. So Reverend Nikki and I we pick a day, and we say, this is the day we're going to go test drive cars. And I knew after all that research that we were going to purchase a small SUV, and it was either going to be the Q3, which is an Audi, or it was going to be a Subaru Outback. And we went and we drove the Q3, and we're like, oh, we don't like it. Well, obviously, then the universe is telling us that we're going to buy the Subaru Outback. So we went and drove that, and we're like, we don't like this car either. We don't like this car either. And we got caught in that darkness of, we don't like these cars, and now we don't know what to do. And the dis-ease, the discomfort of not knowing hung over us like a vapor. Quimby would call it a vapor. We would call it a cloud. But we were enshrouded in that material consciousness. If I can't have what I want, I don't know what I want, and therefore I can't have anything. Well, it took about 2 days. I woke up, And I was like, we're going to go to the Honda dealer. We're going to go to the Honda dealer. And that very day, we purchased a Honda CRV, a red Honda CRV. So, what am I really saying? That with God, all things are possible. With the light, all things are possible. When we choose to mingle our minds with the light of possibility, everything, anything is possible. Sometimes it seems so impossible that we call it a miracle. And I want to tell you about a miracle we had here, right here at Unity of Wilmington yesterday. We had our annual yard sale for the first time in 2 years, which is a minor miracle in itself. But the major miracle about the yard sale was that it didn't rain. So all last week, we've been having rain every day. The North Carolina rain that we call frog strangler. It's when torrential downpours look like a drizzle. It rained every single day. And every single day, we looked at the forecast for Saturday, which was 100% rain. So we began to mingle our minds. We began to say, command ye me. So we commanded God to not rain on Saturday. We commanded God to have a beautiful sunny day. We commanded, and by Friday night, the forecast showed an 80% chance of rain. But don't you know, Saturday morning, it was 0. It wasn't even 10, and then it didn't happen to rain, but the forecast was 0. So, what are we seeing? We're seeing a pattern, a reliable pattern of putting to death the old, unsupportable belief systems that aren't for our higher good, that are actually all about our destruction. And we're putting our minds, we're mingling our minds with the potential of the light, the potential of a miracle. When my son Chris was 4 years old, he darted out of the elevator in a parking lot. He ran out, the doors open, that kid was gone. And he ran straight into the parking lot, and then I felt it as if the hand of God had come down and just turned him around. So as fast as he ran out, he did a U-turn, and he ran back to me. He missed getting hit by a car by inches. So was it the hand of God? No. God isn't a person. God doesn't have hands. God doesn't do God things without us commanding him. So was it me who stood there and say, I'm commanding you, God, to turn that boy around? Let me tell you, I didn't have a whole lot of time to think. Was it Chris in his 4-year-old self who said, this is not the light, I want to go to the light? I don't know. But what I do know was that it was an absolute miracle that he turned around. In March of 2015, a woman was driving on an icy road in Utah, and her car it was her and her 18-month-old daughter. Her car went off the road probably close to midnight. And it was 12 hours before someone noticed that there was a car down there in the Spanish Forks River. The EMTs were called just to see what was going on. And as the EMTs got close to the bank of the river, they heard an adult female voice saying, help me, help me, help me. So they knew someone was alive in the car. And they took turns, they took shifts. It took them 2 hours to get to the car, to turn the car, to flip it just a little bit so they could have access to a window and break the window. It took them 2 hours to do that. And the whole time they kept hearing this adult female voice saying, help me, help me, help me. So when they got to the point they could break the window open, they took the only survivor from that car out, and it was the 18-month-old girl. Was it the girl's capacity to mingle her mind with that higher consciousness, that positive, creative energy, to project a voice that she knew those rescue people would understand? I don't know. I wasn't there. But it certainly adds credence to the reliable, methodical healing process that we can shift from being in the material world where nobody survives that long in a car in icy conditions to where once a kid starts running in a parking lot, there's no bringing him back, to once you have 100% forecast for rain, you're going to have rain. It's shifting our minds. It's shifting our ever-expanding consciousness to the light. So my question to you is, what kind of miracle do you want? What kind of miracle or shift or potential or possibility do you want to mingle your mind with so that you can put to death those old, outworn, false beliefs, those fears that don't serve you, and you can be in the light? It's a huge question. If you want prayer support, reach out to Unity of Wilmington anytime. Reach out to Silent Unity, that prayer service that has a live person on the phone 24/7 at Unity Village. What kind of miracle do you want in your life? One of the aspects about Quimby that I admire the most is that while he studied esoteric humankind, the nature of humankind, while he studied that, it was more important to him to put the ideas into practice. So every one of his methodologies came from the laboratory of life, from hands-on experimentation. And I believe that's what we need to do as individuals. Find a truth. Try it on. Come into the light over here. Try it on. Come into the light over there. Try it on. Find what works for you. Find where your heart resonates. Find where your satisfaction, your joy, your peace, your love is amplified. Find that light. And then do that for yourself. I think we can turn Quimby's statement about the material world around and mingle our minds with that other world, the immaterial world, the world of the formless, of spiritual. I think we can turn that statement around and create an affirmation that will support ourselves. I am trainable. I used to think that was a bad thing. I am not a trick pony. But I am trainable, teachable, and suggestible, capable of being influenced by divine ideas, those heavenly ideas from that world of the immaterial. I put the darkness of my ignorance to death. I mingle my mind with the light of miracles. I mingle my mind with the light of miracles. I don't know how you feel when you say it to yourself, but I feel, well, I don't want to say enlightened, but I feel lighter. I feel lighter. I feel like I have put my lamp on a stand. I've taken it out of the drawer. I've taken it from underneath the bushel. I've taken it out from underneath the bowl. And I'm shining. Unity of Wilmington wants the very best for you. We want to invite you to be the biggest light you can be. We want to invite your ever-changing mind to know better so that you can be inspired to do better. Let's take these desires and these thoughts and these wonders into a time of meditation. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, to breathe easily, to know that the weight of the material world is simply melting away. Think about an ice cube and being in the sunlight, or even on the light of your kitchen counter. It begins to melt. It can no longer hold its form. We move from the rigid to the formless, from the dis-ease and the discomfort to expansion and freedom, to a feeling of spreading our wings, of soaring, choosing where we want to fly, where we want to land, how we want to live in the light of God, light of spirit, the light of creative, causative energy, in the light of principle, in the outworking of the law. Command ye me, saith the law. Command ye me. Imagine truly loving our neighbors. Imagine being respected and respecting every point of view. Imagine new creative ways of living together with our differing minds, all committed to being in the light of love, the light of joy, the light of peace. It's time. It's time to stop the war of the worlds within. To know that we can be in both worlds and be satisfied. Be deeply satisfied. We are the light of the world. We're in the middle of it all. And we can stand with our light shining brightly, loving deeply, and knowing a peace that passes all understanding. So it is. So it is. And so we let it be.
Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out and looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. And don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time. Hold on while you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey,
want to dance.
But if you've been touched, moved, or inspired, tune into yourself. Know what action you are being called into and celebrate it in the world with doing something that makes you feel delicious inside. If you'd like to give, we are open to receiving your generosity in any form that it comes.
Venmo, website, Facebook. In the meantime, shine your light. You're in the middle of it. Woohoo!